Hello everyone and welcome back to another day of Road to TCG Worlds 2017. Now today we are doing Expanded and we are going to be taking a look at Night March. Now I know a lot of people don't like Night March, but it did get top 8 at the last Expanded regional tournament. The deck has definitely fallen out of favor in many players' eyes. Just not good enough, and then with the rise of the C-Drive Outbloom both in standard and expanded, it's definitely a very tough call to make, but it's still a pretty solid deck. And with Toronto regionals coming up in about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, I figured it might be a good time to revisit the deck in what will be potentially its last viable tournament outing, I guess, as the C-Drive Outbloom gains more traction in the format, or in both formats. And then in Guardians Rising we have this new Oranguru, which places a damage counter on your opponent's Pokemon for every Pokemon in your discard pile. So this kind of decks and decks such as Vespiquen will definitely be less viable, because that Oranguru can be teched in pretty much any deck. So those are two big factors going against the deck. There's always been the fact that Seismitoad exists, and then Karen does see some play sometimes in Expanded. So I mean, despite all of that, like, the only new thing for Night March or to deal with Night March is Oranguru. Everything else has existed, but Tyler Ninomura was still able to pilot the deck to an 5th place finish at Portland Regionals. He's been having a great season. He was also the guy who piloted Gyarados to a 10th place finish at was it Utah? Yeah, Salt Lake City. So I guess 4 DC decks definitely favor Tyler. But anyways, this is your standard Night March matchup, or Night March deck rather. You focus on Pumpkaboo using Night March, which deals 20 damage times the number of Pokemon in your discard pile that do have the Night March attack. You combine it with Joltik, which has less HP but has a less costly attack, and you just play the 4 Lampent, even though you don't run any Litwick, in order to increase your damage output. As things get higher HP, this deck becomes even less viable, but Expanded is mostly dominated by Dark type decks such as Darkrai and Yveltal, so there is still like a good like a potential for this deck to do well, because those decks aren't utilizing such high HP attackers that you're not able to reach those numbers. They do have Fighting Fear Belt, and I'm really surprised to not see a Tool Scrapper or a Megaphone in Tyler's deck. I am generally very surprised to see that, but I mean, it worked out for him. Maybe that was his downfall in top 8, I'm not exactly sure. He also ran the 2 Tauros, which seems great in theory, as it's completely the opposite of Night March. It buys you time. In the early game you can just promote it while you get your Pokemon in the discard pile and apply pressure to your opponent, so it's a really good card to have around. 3 Shaymin-EX, so you can continually set up, literally set up, in order to get what you need to finalize your setup and get those one-hit knockouts, and a single Oranguru to make yourself more end-proof. Item cards or supporter cards, we have 3 Juniper and 2 Lysandre as the big counts, and then we have utility 1N, 1 AT, 1 Hex Maniac, 1 Pokémon Ranger, and 1 Teammates. No Colress as well, very surprisingly not to see any Colress. And then as far as item cards go, we have the 4 Seeker for Ultra Level 3 Trainer's Mail for consistency. We also have 4 Puzzle of Time, which are really good to reuse. Get back DCs, reuse Pile Compressors, reuse even Special Charge, get back the Dimension Valley, and even the Dowsing Machine as your ace spec. So really useful cards there. 2 Fighting Fury Belt to increase your basic Pokemon's attacks. 4 Pile Compressor, of course, to thin out your deck, but especially get rid of the Night Marchers early on, so that you're able to deal a lot of damage right from the get-go. And then we have 2 Escape Rope, 1 Target Whistle to potentially get those last 2 prizes, and the Special Charge, which allows you to recycle your special energy. So all of that combines into a really, really powerful deck. This was one of the most dominant decks in the previous season. It's now of course not legal to play in standard, but in expanded it still has a lot of viability, as we could see. Well, maybe not a lot, but it's still viable, and maybe Toronto will be its last opportunity to get some championship points, to get some glory, because with the new Ikorio, that's gonna put, I think, the nail in the coffin for this deck. Especially with new GXs coming out, they're all having more and more HP every time. This time we get Wishy-Washy GX in the new set, which is a basic Pokemon, 210 HP, and then with a Fighting Fury belt you get to Whaler EX levels of HP. You had 250, so that's really difficult to deal with. But for now, looks like we're up against a Dark type deck. Metal Pokemon though, probably Jirachi. Psychic type, maybe Wolfet. We get a pretty bad hand, honestly. We are going first. We really need to top deck something out of the Shaymin we're going to use. Having to attach the DC on turn 1, I'm not a big fan, and we are up against Turbo Darkrai. Okay, the Versiger top deck once again, also pretty useless. I'm gonna grab a Lampent, and then I'm going to use the Lampent to discard it for a Shaymin. Now it's not really... Maybe I should have grabbed Tauros instead. I mean, it's not very unrealistic for my opponent to hit a turn 1 attack, especially on a 30 HP Joltik. So this seems a bit better. Okay, I do like this. Well, I do like this and I don't like this actually, because we have no draw supporter still. So with that in mind, I'm actually gonna bench this guy. I'm going to Ultra Ball away these two cards. I'm not a huge fan of doing this, but I feel like I have to. I'm gonna have to Shaymin once again, but I think I can safely attach the DC to the Pumpkaboo now. I'm not playing the stadium simply because I really want to conserve it for the later stages of the game. We do hit a Sycamore, we do hit a Barrel Compressor, so I could potentially get rid of the N. One Lampent is prized, which is never good to see, and I'm gonna use the N. I'm gonna get rid of the N, and I'm gonna use the N simply so that I can already the second via Seeker. Okay, just so that I don't lose all the other resources to a Juniper right about now. Could have also searched for a Hex Maniac. Maybe that would have been a good choice. Gonna Barrel Compressor away the other two Pumpkaboos and a Joltik so that I can get closer to dealing those really high damage numbers. Now I have 6 Nightmare Tears in the discard pile. Not gonna bench the other Pumpkaboo for now, just gonna pass. There's no need for me to play all the other cards at this stage in the game. And there's a Fighting Fury belt, which is going to make it a bit harder to get a knockout this turn, or this upcoming turn. Although, if my opponent does play down a Hoopa and plays on Shaymin, then that's where we have easier targets, if you will. There's a Hoopa. Based on my opponent's low card hand, I would definitely expect 2 Darkrai and 1 Shaymin here. So we might actually be able to do something. The issue is the Fighting Fury belts. Those are definitely the biggest issue here. Wow. This is actually Darkrai Dragons. That makes this just way scarier. Way scarier. If Giratina attacks once, well, we do have Ranger, I guess, and it's already in the discard pile, so maybe it's not that big a deal. it might be if we don't have a Joltik. That's when it could be a big deal. We do see a potential turn 1 Darkrai X. Seems unlikely, but there is a potential for that. And we don't get a great hand, honestly. So, we do top deck the stadium. We do have a Puzzle of Time. We do have the dowsing machine to potentially use an Escape Rope, so that I can get a knockout with Pumpkaboo. The thing is, if I use the Escape Rope, who does my opponent promote? Well, it doesn't really matter. I have access to Lysandre, right? So, who do I want to knock out? I think I want to knock out the Hoopa. I can't knock out Giratina, right? No, I can't. Or can I? 6? No, I need one more 9 Archer. No, 2 more. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to end. But that just means I won't be able to take a knockout this turn. I'm gonna attach the Fighting Fury Belt to Joltik so that it doesn't die to a Night Spear. Maybe my opponent doesn't play stadiums. Trying to think of the Turbo Dark deck we did. I'm not exactly sure. That's a third versus Seeker though. That could potentially be a problem. Because to use Ranger, we're gonna need to find dual Puzzle of Time. Okay, so we don't. Can we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's no way we hit to 20. Absolutely no way. So we might not even deal any damage this turn. Okay, let's play the Trainer's Mail. Don't get anything. I'm gonna Ultra Ball for a Shaymin. But do I get rid of the Juniper? I want to get rid of the Joltik. Oh, whoops. I misclicked. Oh well. Oh well. Okay. This is gonna be a really difficult match, especially because we're not able to deal damage yet. Okay, I do hit a TCG and I can potentially hit the Escape Rope. So, with an Escape Rope, I don't knock out the Darkrai. So I have 7. Okay. Just gonna attack the active Darkrai. Oh boy, I find the Fighting Fury Belt. Okay. If I use this and I play the Fighting Fury Belt, who does my opponent promote? I mean, I play the Escape Rope. Who does he promote? Does he promote the Hoopa? Definitely not the Giratina. Yeah, I think I misplayed this. If he attacks with Giratina next turn, I am done. Yeah, no, I'm not playing this really well, am I? Wow, it decides to promote the Shaymin. Yeah, that was a bad play on my part. Not gonna lie, that was a really bad play on my part. Fighting Fury Belt doesn't save me, so I guess I'll attach it to Tauros. It really doesn't save me from any attack at this point. So I'll attach it to Tauros, and I will just take the knockout here. Saving the Verse Seeker in case I get End, and saving the special charge just because I know I have 1 in the discard pile. After this knockout I will have 2, and there's a Giratina immediately going active. Now it does have retreat, but that probably means he already has the double dragon energy. There's another Fighting Fury belt, which is bad news. And I'm gonna have to teammates next turn. I'm gonna have to promote my Tauros, let Giratina-EX attack into it, and hope that my opponent doesn't end me. He already has an end in the discard pile though. Okay. There's a megaphone that we need. There's a Chaos Wheel, and now it's down to Ranger for us to get a knockout here. Only down to Ranger for us. So, because I discarded the DCE, I'm gonna play Teammates. I am going to grab the last DCE because the other one is priced. And I'm gonna grab Oranguru. Yeah, that seems right. Oranguru. Well, see, I can't teammates for 2 Puzzle of Time and then Ranger. So I'm fine doing this. Okay, let's play the special charge. Let's return both of them. And then we play the Oranguru and we pass. Hoping, against all hope, that my opponent just attacks into the Tauros. So that we can revenge Mad Bull GX for the knockout. There's a dark patch. That's fine. What we don't want to see is a Seeker N. That's what we don't want to see here. And guys, I apologize if there's more background noise than normal. That's because it's so hot right now in my room, like so hot, that I really need to have the the fans on, because otherwise I would be like sweating like mad. Okay, so we don't see an end, we just see another Chaos Wheel. I'm pretty happy to see that. I do top deck another Seeker, but I mean another DC, but I will Ranger here. And I will be able to take a knockout onto this Giratina-EX with my Mad Bull GX attack. Dealing 330 damage because of my 11 damage counters. Find a Lampent, we find an Escape Rope, and now we have the TCG and the Joltik for a potential last turn KO. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we're missing 20 damage. We need one more Night Merchant in the discard pile. It is currently in our hands, but it's not exactly the card we need right now, or we don't have any way to discard it. We need to find an Ultra Ball. There's a Seeker for an N, yep, but we do have Oranguru, so that's pretty good. And we'll have to see what happens here. My opponent will still need 3 prize cards, which is pretty good. The target whistle is great since it's a card we can actually spend. There's a delinquent. That's pretty scary. That's a pretty scary card to see. Oh, but he knocks out the Joltik. Whoops. Whoopsie daisies. Whoopsie daisies. Okay, so I'm gonna promote the Shaymin. Yeah, I completely forgot about the Joltik right there. Okay. Top deck a Hex, which is not the card we want to see. So I'm gonna target Whistle, bring back the Shaymin. And I'm gonna instruct for 1 card, which is not the card we want to see. Okay, so I'm gonna Hex Maniac. And assuming my opponent delinquents here, okay. This is not good, guys. This is not good at all. Gonna have to pull off our realistic turn. There's a delinquent, so we lose the other stadium. That's completely fine. Comes down to us finding a Joltik, our last Joltik, and our last a DC rather. And never mind, there's the win for my opponent. That's 110 damage, 130 in fact. So he can just retreat, knock out the Shaymin-EX, and that's the game. Looked like we were good, but we really weren't. I mean, unless my opponent misplays here and doesn't retreat. But yeah, he definitely knows he has the win. He's just being fancy and trying to deal as much damage as possible. Wow, no. My opponent actually decides to Night Spear. Oh no, because I used Hex Maniac. Okay, so the Hex Maniac actually matters. With the Hex Maniac, if he had retreated, he would have been in a lot of trouble. Okay, we find Juniper. I believe that should be the card we need to win. No, that's not the card we need to win. Because the Darkrai, the other Darkrai, we can't knock that out. We actually can't. So how do I win? Okay, if I grab the Juniper and I'm able to find 2 Puzzle of Time, what do I accomplish with that? There's nothing I can effectively target. I will not get KO'd. So I think we still lose here. I'm gonna even have to Sky Return. Okay. So now we should have the win next turn, right? 1, 2. There's no way he knocks Tauros out, right? There's just no way. My opponent does have a ton of Lysandre, Seeker left. 3 at least. So, but there's not really any card I want to use at the moment. So I'm just gonna Sky Return. Let's promote the Tauros. So we need to find 2 Puzzle of Time at the same time. That's the only thing that will make us win. Wow, my opponent plays down a Sycamore. Maybe looking for a Transmail. Why wouldn't he Verse Seeker, Lysandre, knock out the Shaymin? Now that he can retreat for free. Why wouldn't he do that? That's another mistake. That's a big mistake by my opponent. Big mistake. Big mistake. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow. So my opponent, never mind. If he hits something like 2 Max Elixirs, this could be game as well. There's 1 Max Elixir, which misses. Awesome. There's another Max Elixir, which misses as well. So what's the last card? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why didn't he Verse Seeker, Lysandre knockout? I have no idea. Okay, so now we win, right? We just double Puzzle of Time, we put back the Lysandre, and we win. Now we only won because my opponent chose not to win for some reason. Because here we just rage for the knockout. We could have done anything we wanted really, but this is enough to secure the game. Okay, so my opponent made a pretty bad mistake. He has 7 energy in play, or 6 rather. He had 6 energy, 6 darkness in play. He discarded 1 from his hand. That's 7, and he presumably had 4 double dragon energy. So it'd be really weird if he only had 7 or 8 total darkness energy. You'd expect to have at least 10 in that deck, like at least 9 rather. So who knows? Poorly built deck and poorly played last turn for sure. So it looks like we're up against a mirror match actually. This is potentially a mirror match now. Okay, so we do start Shaymin. Not the end of the world, not the best starter for sure, especially going second. I'm out of water. Man, it's really hot, like it's unbearably hot right now. Well, double Shaymin starts. I will take that. But we see... Okay, so never mind. This is Raichu Crobat potentially. This is not Night March Mirror Match. There's a Repeat Ball. Okay, so not entirely. We don't know yet what the Psychic type part of the deck is, but I really would assume Crobat. There's no way. There's no way. Well, yeah, there's a Zubat, so we are in for a lot of trouble here, guys. A lot of trouble. The extra damage counters off of Crobat are really good against Night March, against the low HP Night March attackers. So that Shaymin-EX, we really need to try to target it down. But with no switching method other than Escape Rope, we actually won't be able to target it down. Gonna do this. We have to try to focus on Pumpkaboo. There is one Pumpkaboo prize, there is one Tauros prize. Well, Tauros is actually pretty good as well. Tauros is actually pretty good as well. We might actually be better off starting off with that. I'll play a Train's Mail just because I can. I definitely don't want to recycle anything off of the Puzzle of Time. So I'd rather lose just the one instead of 3, and I see the next 3 cards and then I would draw them anyway, so there's no real point in doing that. But I'll compressor away the 3 Lampents. And Fighting Fury Belt there, and now I could play both Trainer's Mails, but what I'm actually gonna do is I really would like to find a DCE to Sky Return my Shaymin. So that's why I'm gonna play the Shaymin once again, or I'm gonna Ultra Ball without playing the Trainer's Mails. And there's the DCE. Okay, that works. That definitely works. I could bench the Pumpkaboo. I'd rather it not get damaged just yet. And I'm gonna Sky Return into the Tauros, and we should be good here. Tauros can put a lot of pressure on my opponent. There's a 20 damage on the Tauros. There's another 20 damage. That's not really good. There's a Shaymin. And now my opponent really wants to knock my Tauros out as soon as possible. Right now, I would need to use my GX attack to knock out the Shaymin, but I would actually be okay with doing that. I generally wouldn't mind doing that. You'd expect him to Sky Return though. You definitely expect my opponent to try to Sky Return. That's the 3rd Shaymin he's played. So you can try to capitalize on that. As long as we find Lysandre though. Without Lysandre, there's nothing we can do. And I probably won't or shouldn't replace my Stadium right now. Simply because if I do, he gets to discard. He gets to get rid of both Shaymins if he benches that Zubat, which there's no reason not to. So I want the Shaymins in the deck. I mean, in play, rather. I want the Shaymins in play. And there's an M. Okay. So we lose the DCE. He's trying to find one. Well, we might get other things to work off of with. Yep, that works. Wow, there's another Raichu. There's the DCE, unfortunately. So now, if we find a DCE ourselves, we can target down a Shaymin, which would be the idea. I will bench the Joltik, and I will attach a Fighting Fury Belt to prevent it from getting KO'd. I will play this Battle Compressor, and I'll get rid of one more Pumpkaboo. I'll get rid of a Lysandre, and I'll get rid of the Pokemon Ranger, just to thin out our deck that little bit extra. I really want to play the Lysandre right here. I really do. And we know he has the DC, so if I knock this Golbat out, he will have 100 damage. He would just need one more basic Pokemon to knock me out. So I actually need to find a DCE. I really need to find a DCE. And I do not. I actually do not. My opponent did not take a prize card the previous turn, so I cannot activate Teammates. And so, looks like we are not going to see a DCE right here. Very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. You know my opponent has at least one Golbat in his hand. This is really bad. This is actually really bad. Okay, if I play a double puzzle to get back a puzzle and a Pumpkaboo. Well, I could try to find. Okay, let's try finding the other Shaymin once again. I'm not sure that was the best play. Gosh, I really, really, really want to find. Okay. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna Ultra Ball away the Puzzle of Time and the Compressor. I'm gonna grab the Shaymin and whatever. I'm just gonna first play the Escape Rope. And I'm gonna promote this Joltik. Then I'm just gonna go ahead and Lysandre. There's 4 Night Marchers, so it is enough to knock out the Shaymin. And I'm just gonna Shaymin here myself. And there's okay, so all the DCs we could ever want are right here. I will Night March for the knockout. I wish I had Oranguru in play right now, but I don't. And there's not much I can do about that. But yeah, we have the Dowsing Machine, which should allow me to put back the Lysandre in my hand to knock out the Shaymin-EX. There's an Ultra Ball. And for the last Shaymin-EX, we could potentially use the target whistle. Okay, so there's a Crobat. That's gonna target my Joltik. That's okay. That's generally okay. Hope my opponent plays down the Shaymin he has in his hand after his Sky Return. I really do. I really, really do. And nope, doesn't play it down, but does go for a Circle Circuit. Now, here's a big decision. Gonna get rid of the Shaymin. I do find another Joltik, which is great, I think. Except maybe not really. Okay, I want to knock out the Shaymin for sure. So I'm gonna get rid of the N, and I'm going to get rid of the Pumpkaboo, and I will get back the Lysandre. So I will for sure knock out that Shaymin. And now to knock out the Joltik, he would need 2 Golbats. We know he has 1 in his hand. We don't know what else he does have though. He might need the Golbat to knock out the Tauros at this point. So I'm gonna use the Mad Bull GX attack. I'm gonna draw another 2 prize cards. And there's another Tauros. Like, we're going all in on a really big play here. Hopefully he needs the Shaymin though. there's a super rod, put back the Shaymins, please. Wow, puts back both Shaymins. Well, that's actually not great, because now target whistle doesn't help, although there's a Shaymin, so never mind. Target whistle will help. No end though. No end is awesome here. No end is really, really good for us. And yeah, doesn't even knock out the Tauros. So, okay. Now we want to dig for the target whistle, right? That's our, well, yes, but we also need a Lysandre. Otherwise we are, well, actually, we might be able to put ourselves in a position where all we need is, yeah, if I use Escape Rope here, and I take a knockout with Joltik, my opponent might be able to knock out the Joltik with 2 Golbat drops, but then he would need a Lysandre again to as well to attack me. See, I really, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go search for Oranguru. Goodbye Puzzle of Time, but I really want Oranguru here for the potential end next turn. And I do have Verse Seekers left, right? Yeah, I have 3 Verse Seekers left, so that's great. That should ensure the game here. We do see a special charge. There's only 1 DC, I probably won't need more than those, so I can do that, put the DC back, and I can use Juniper as well. I really can use Juniper just to keep filling up my deck. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do as well. I can Battle Compressor, and oh boy, yeah, Target Whistle is no longer necessary. The other 2 cards, the other 4 cards are great to have in there. So if I bench these 2 Pumpkaboos, and then I played a Dimensional Valley, I can thin out my deck even further because, well, my hand and therefore my deck for a potential end. So here I definitely discard the Shaymins, as they're no longer easy targets, and then we get to Night March for a bajillion damage. Yep, 320. And it's down to 1 prize. Either Joltik or the Tauros can knock my opponent out. I mean, and if my opponent, okay, he's gonna Sycamore, that's game. That is 100% game. I have no idea what Banette does. Oh, Banette prevents tool cards from working, right? Oh wow, he's actually, oh yeah, oops. Okay, so he got both Golbat drops. Oh boy. Did he get a Skyfield though? That's the question here. If he didn't get the Skyfield, then that's game. Because I can attack with Pumpkaboo. If he uses the Devolution Spray, I don't even need to attack with Pumpkaboo, I just need to attack a Zubat. And I have the Lysandre, I have the Ultra Ball to thin out my hand. Yep, okay, so now all I need is to find my last TC, which is in the deck. There's 4 cards. There's 4 cards in my deck. My last prize is a TC, which is really bad. And no counter stadium, so all I need is a TC, right? All I need is a TC. I'm gonna top deck 1 card. Okay, as long as it's not the last card in my deck, I should be able to win here. As long as it's not the last card in my deck. So, oh, never mind. I can draw 3 cards. Yep, that's game. So I Ultra Ball, I grab nothing, we see the TCE. So the special charge ended up actually being super important. And I'm just gonna knock out the poor Zubat. I'm gonna instruct, draw all 3 cards left in my deck, get the TCE, say well played, and take the win. Oh boy. The last TCE is our prize card. Wow. That was way too close. Way too close. But yeah, Night March might be its last song. There's also a thing where if there's a lot of counters printed for Night March, then people will stop playing Night March. Therefore, you don't need to play the counter, and therefore, since people stop playing the Night March counters, Night March becomes viable again. So there's that life cycle where same applies to Gyarados pretty much, or at least before the CDI. But anyways, that's gonna be it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will be seeing you guys tomorrow for the quad Meowth, the CDI deck, which I'm really looking forward to using. And then next week, we still don't have Guardians Rising yet, but the week afterwards we will, and it's gonna be a special week once again, like the last time around, where I'm going to try to feature all of the new and viable decks that people are talking about, such as Garbodor, Alola, and Ninetales, such as Tapu Koko, such as Volcanion Turtonator, etc., etc. So stick around, guys. Thank you guys so much for your help. Leave a like on the video if you can, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.